Hey everybody, welcome back to Michael Clarida Arts. It is, of course, time once again for a warm-up. We're going to be drawing wombats today. That's a mouthful. Wombat. Let's get started. So, again, here at my standing drawing desk, as you have seen before, if you have been with me on my journey, yesterday was raccoons. Previous to that, I did some bears. Grizzly bear right there. There we go, brown bear right there. Then we did some hippos, hippopotamuses. We did three-toed sloth. That was a lot of fun. I really like doing those. Gorillas. Elephants, so on and so forth. You get the picture. There's videos. If you want to watch the whole process, please definitely check those out. But today, I'm going to be doing something I have never drawn before. What? New animal alert. Wombats. Wombats, of course, being a creature from Australia. I don't know if they have them in New Zealand or not, but definitely in Australia. Fascinating creatures, kind of like little mini furry tanks, I would equate them to. Just really beautiful creatures overall. And I think that maybe they corner the market on super awesome cuteness. The only thing is just like I've talked about with other things in the world, there is a dichotomy there, and they can be vicious. Vicious. Probably a little tutorial, no. Probably a little territorial, which I'm sure a lot of creatures are. They don't want you messing with their stuff. Kind of like humans. Humans are very territorial overall. But wombats, and I think I did this morning not only because I actually forgot to turn the heater on in my office, and it's been cold. We have a winter storm coming. For those of you who don't know, it does get cold here in the mountains, and we've got a winter storm that has kind of freaked a lot of people out because they've been watching the news, and the news gives this European model tells us that it's going to be 15,000 degrees below zero and we're getting 400 feet of snow. And this other model right here shows light rain and an inch of snow, and then it's going to be sunny in patches. So the weather is unpredictable, and one of the things that my dad used to tell me, there's one thing about weather, and predicting the weather is it's unpredictable. And I always was like, oh, whatever, Dad. You know, whenever you're a teenager, your parents, depending on how they raised you, because my dad was from old school, kind of old. My dad is actually 91 years old in the later stages of his life. Not too sure how much longer he'll be with us. My dad is a mechanical genius. Taught me everything I know about automobiles. But his biggest contribution, I believe, to my life was his inquisitiveness and his attention to conveying that if man made it, then it can be fixed, such as an automobile. And he says, don't always jump to buy something new. Don't always just assume something is broken beyond repair. He says you obviously have to weigh cost versus return, but such in the way of cars, don't assume that you just need to go out and buy a new car. Fix what you have. I've seen it time and time again. I've got a friend of mine that works in the automotive industry, And he says more often than not, for the littlest things, people will go out and buy a new car. It needs tires? That's $1,200 out of my pocket. I can't do that. I'm going to buy a new car. So they'd rather spend tons of money and payments than to just spend a little bit of money and get something that'll perpetuate the longevity of the automobile. And that is just something that I've kind of carried across my entire way of life. If something breaks, my first inclination is to fix it. I know, I'm strange. Strangers. So what I'm doing is I'm mapping out where stuff goes. I blocked in basic shapes. You saw me where I thought stuff needed to go. Then I started working on my anchor point, which is, in this case, the nose. Make the nose good in terms of anatomy and where it needs to go. And then from there, I build the pose. So I've talked before about thinking in 3 dimensions and 3-dimensionality, and I found something on the internet which really explained things very clearly in terms of thinking 3-dimensionally, and I took a screen grab of it. This is from a guy on Instagram, rim.umyarov, and he shows a top view of what looks like a scarab beetle or some type of beetle, and he's broken things down in a perspective view, but also in a form and simple shape view, blocking it down into cylinders, cylinder, and thinking in terms of 3-dimensionality and how light will affect that form. And this is really the kind of thing that I'm working on currently in the tutorial and learning and thinking 3-dimensionally. But I just wanted to show you that it is a common theme that runs throughout artistic circles, and I'm not just making stuff up. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this ironed out here. Very fascinating creatures, wombats. I don't know a lot about them. I think they are marsupials, which means they have a pouch. A lot of critters in Australia do share that particular facet of their anatomy, being marsupials. So you've got koalas, they've got a pouch, and you've got kangaroos and wallabies. That's my take on the Australian accent. My apologies, I'm not very good at accents. And I love seeing different types of critters and creatures. It always makes me wonder, why did this animal develop that particular facet of its anatomy? And why did it happen on the island of Australia, continent, and not in America? And why don't we have kangaroos? What's wrong with us? I kid. Not really. Kangaroos are pretty awesome and vicious. Don't think a kangaroo is there to give you a hug. If you see one coming at you with its arms like this, run. They are vicious. They will. Their front claws, their back claws on their legs, they will kill you. Whew. Very powerful, very territorial. Not sure. I don't know what the record is in terms of people being attacked by kangaroos, but I did watch, of course, a documentary. You know me and documentaries. And I think it was Bitten. I was bitten or attacked. Something along those lines. Of course, they had your bears. They had all of those things. But the one that surprised me was kangaroos. And I didn't realize how vicious they were. Vicious. That's my new word. A little bit of a ground plane. Then we're going to go ahead and have this other leg come around. There's the fold right there. And it comes out. I talk a lot about drawing in generalities because for me, I tend to try and go into the details very quickly. So I've made it a point and a concerted effort not to do that. Drawing in generalities, meaning shapes, has helped me develop sort of that mindset of simple is better. I remember there was a phrase, I'll go ahead and do this. There was a phrase that we really adhered to at the studio in Orlando when I worked there. And it really helped me out whenever I was doing work. Simple sells. So we would spend tons and tons of work on this incredible illustration. It was beautiful. And hours and hours spent on that piece of work. And then the one design that would typically sell the most would be the simple design, maybe with some text or a logo or something simple that took maybe 15 minutes. And my boss would always say, we need to do more than that. We need to have more than that, or not more than that. We need to do more of that. You have to have kind of a balance of design and a nice variety. But simple is typically what sells. People like simple, easy to read, and in the whole, not confusing, not have to have things explained to them. And that's something that has kind of carried through in my artistic endeavors in my career. When something's getting a little more complicated, I ask myself, what is the purpose of this piece? What am I trying to accomplish with this? What am I doing? Constantly asking those questions, such as making all these videos and not seeing a return. Years ago, I did a video every day for like 4 months. And I just didn't see a breakthrough. Now the algorithm has changed and everything is even harder. And I talked to my wife this morning about it. I said, well, I'm going to keep going. Maybe I'll change the subject matter from animals to something a little more fan artish. And people will relate better to it. Because animals, although good, a lot of people just don't relate. And I'm typically not a person that basically bends to the masses. But when it comes to growing the channel, you can either choose your battles and then do things on the other side, meaning you kind of do things for the masses in the beginning, and then once you get your following and you get the channel to sustain itself, then you move on and then you can do stuff for yourself. YouTube is a finicky thing for sure. But like I had said before, I typically don't do things for money. Especially not YouTube. I don't make any money on YouTube. I do and have gotten stuff for reviews, which is really cool, because that's always good. And you could argue, yeah, that's money. If you get a $1,500 tablet to review and you get to keep it, then that's money. Yes, I agree. So, right now, just shoring up some of those elements. I'm not rendering, quote unquote, rendering it. I'm just putting in some of the fur elements that make sense and doing a little bit of line weight management, meaning like whenever you have a form come around, that line will be thicker on the bottom than it is on the top. And if I see a shadow shape like that right there, that's a shadow shape. I'll go ahead and draw that in. And the shadow shape come here. Yeah. Wombat. Go ahead and do this to define under his belly. Make his head stand out a little bit more. Very interesting creatures. And super cute. Yeah. Wombats. MC26. Drawing number 2. Wombat action. Wombat. Actually, to me, wombats look... they're basically a living stuffed animal. Just super cute. Wonderful to draw. Overall, again, don't mess with them. They will cut you with their switchblades. Just kidding. Just kidding. People. I made a comment. Cut you with their switchblades. They don't use switchblades. They use wakazashis. Did that yesterday. Can't make the same joke twice there, guy. I know. Dad joke. Stop the madness. My wife's always like, honey, you no, you no, you can't, no. I'm like, come on, that's funny. No. Thank goodness for wives. She keeps me grounded. I didn't say she grounds me. She keeps me grounded, which is good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the nose. Nose. Mouth. And chin. I don't think I've ever seen a wombat in person. Certainly would not want to see one in the wild. They are varmints, I believe. Varmint, similar to like your Wolverine. Of course, I don't know. They're marsupial. They're what they're closely related to. I don't know the... I just don't know, man. I don't know the science behind them. You know what they are? They're cute. They hold the record of cuteness. I'm sure that's completely false. I'm making things up. Stop making these things up. Here we go. Here's some more fur. Down lower. Lower. Go. I wonder what they smell like. These are the things that go through my head whenever I'm drawing stuff like this. I wonder what these critters smell like. Are they gamey? I'll tell you a critter that really, oh, he did not smell good. Probably had some type of musk. It was a groundhog. I wonder if these are related to groundhogs. Because I had groundhogs where I previously lived, and they were diggers. And they were very destructive, actually to the point where you couldn't allow a groundhog on your property because he would burrow under your house. And when they burrow under your house, they have caverns in their burrows, and it would cause weakness in the foundation of your home. And it would cause, I mean, yeah, your house could collapse into the ground. Because here, where I am, it's clay. So you have an erosion issue, first and foremost. Second of all, you have mountain areas. So those two factors really were not good with regards to allowing groundhogs on the property. So we had to dispatch of them, unfortunately, because they are very cute. Some people eat them around here. I'm like, really? But whenever, because I would trap them, and then we would relocate to the wilderness. So we put them in the wild, because you can't have them on the farm. Dispatch. You thought I said kill. No. Dispatch. Move. Relocate. There we go. That's a better phrase for you. Because people love groundhogs. They can be a little vicious too. But it's okay. One of the things that always surprised me was the smell. They're very... that's what I was talking about. Smell. They stunk. Vegetarians too, which was odd. Yeah. But I remember trapping one, and you got to be careful because they're very sensitive to stress and heat. And we trapped him. It was a no... It wasn't like a leg trap. It's just basically like a cage trap. And he went in, and he hit the trap door, and it closed behind him. And unfortunately, because of the stress, a lot of times, just by being trapped, they die. And that was so sad. Oh my goodness. And I don't believe in poison or anything like that. You don't poison an animal. I mean, come on. That's a recipe for cruelty. But groundhogs, yeah. Keeping things simple today. Again, starting out with my shapes. Circle, kind of a bean shape on this one. Since it is profile side view, he's just walking home. Yeah. A little bit of a shadow right here. Hopefully you guys are getting something from these drawings. I think I've created 45, somewhere around there. We're getting there. Wouldn't it be awesome if once I get done with this, take all of these drawings, and create a reference book or a book. Because each animal I'm doing, I think I'm doing 3. In the beginning I was doing 2, but now I'm doing 3 drawings. Just a great reference book for somebody. And you have a video companion because I'm videoing every single one. As long as my camera cooperates. It did have a little bit of a flub up when the camera autofocus messed up on me. And I'm like, dang it! He's walking to work. Give him a little hat. So I will be, I believe, like I discussed, working in some fan art, character art. So possibly instead of doing animals next month, doing some Disney characters. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. I'm sure I'll get a lot of people who are like, do some anime. Might work a couple anime characters in there. I've done anime stuff before. It's not really my jam, but just as long as I don't do it exclusively all the time, I think it's perfectly fine to work in a few anime characters for fun. Anything for a challenge, right? So here we are. With a wombat. Number 2. Last drawing in the series of the wombat. So to review, number 1, number 2, and finally number 3. Okay. So today is Friday. Hopefully everybody has plans for the weekend, working for the weekend. Stop the madness, enough singing. I didn't come here for your voice. Fine. It's just whenever I'm in a good mood, I likes to sing. I likes it. It's in me. Hopefully everybody's going to have something to do this weekend other than to prep for the massive winter storm that is coming our way. The winter apocalypse. If you're not prepared, go ahead and get prepared. Actually, my wife and I went out yesterday, and I think I had said this before. Let's put a rock right here. That the place that we live is in, it has been inundated with a lot of people over the past few years. And with that being said, whenever you have a rural place like we live in, it doesn't have a lot of the infrastructure that, say, a city such as New York would have. And New York is prepared for snow. They have snow plows. They have the infrastructure. If they have 2 or 3 feet of snow, it is not a big deal. And they deal with ice. They salt and brine and do all those other wonderful things to help prevent the roads from being very treacherous. Unfortunately, up here in the mountains of North Georgia in the Appalachian Belt, which is where I live, we do not have that comfort. Now, we do have a snowplow, and I think there's one. And it does brine the main streets, which is a very good thing. But since we're a mountain area, we have a lot of elevation. We go from basically 2,000 feet, which is where I live. I live 2,100 feet, and then up. So you have a lot of this. And when you have a lot of this, and the roads freeze, then you have a no drivey. And that's very important because you don't want people out on the streets, first of all, that don't know how to drive in the snow. I sure as heck did not know how to drive in the snow whenever I first moved here, because I came from Florida. And let's be honest, About the only snow they have in Florida is the bubble snow at Disney. And that, my friends, is not snow. I think one of the only times that it really snowed back in '89, it flurried. And then we did have a couple spots in North Florida, but since I lived in Central Florida, dudes, we didn't have snow. If you wanted snow, you had to come north. I think really one of the only times that I saw snow was whenever I went to Carolinas and we went skiing. And even that's not really great skiing. For those of you who live in places where there is skiing and snowboarding, that's awesome. But we don't have the infrastructure here, so whenever it does snow or going to snow, people buy everything. I mean, we didn't have any bread, milk was low, eggs. Another thing, toilet paper. Why are you buying all the toilet paper whenever it snows? You gonna run out? I mean, good grief. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we dealt with yesterday. It's been fun. Today, I've got to make sure, because we're going to have a lot of rain, make sure we don't have any leaves in a lot of the drain spots around the property, because, of course, in the mountains, you have to worry about flash flooding. That's something they don't tell you in the pamphlet you receive whenever you move to Georgia. Actually, you don't receive any pamphlets. I'm kidding. Let's go ahead and do this. There's got to be a patch of fur right here. So yeah, flash flooding. A few years back, we had a hurricane actually that came up, and it went into Asheville and the surrounding areas, and it devastated that community and washed out roads, and it was a massive amount of rain in a very short amount of time. And I believe it is a Category 3 that came up. And it was the volume of rain. It wasn't necessarily the wind. It was the volume in such a short amount of time. And there were landslides, and there were massive flooding, and a lot of people, I mean, some people lost their lives. It was a horrible situation. And I remember whenever I looked at the news, and of course us coming from Florida, and it was Category 3, I said, oh my gosh. And it barely missed us. And in my brain, I thought, dude, if that comes up here, I mean, what do? You don't have anywhere to go? You know, we've been through a Category 3. We went through Charlie at Kissimmee. I believe that was 2005. The year of the hurricanes, because we went through like 5 hurricanes in 2 weeks. It was ridiculous. And Charlie was the one that basically came through and annihilated Kissimmee. And I was living there at that time. For those of you who don't know Kissimmee, or Kissimmee, it's the town very adjacent to where Disney is. And just look it up. But yeah, weather. So my wife and I had to deal with a lot of people kind of buy. I'm like, why are you buying all that stuff? Just buy for like a week. I mean, people were buying 6 weeks worth of food. So it's not they're all being prepared. I guess I look at it from a standpoint of experience, but every storm is different. So if you want to buy stuff, more power to you. I will be getting a generator soon because I don't like being without power. Especially up here in the mountains, it's not very safe to be without power. So, yeah. What I'm doing now is just finalizing the form and making sure I get everything. So again, I talk about not getting mired down in the details too quickly. Having your foundation, your firm foundation of what you're doing and what you need to do. and then working out from that. You see that I'll start out with simple shapes, I'll put in an anchor point, and then I'll work out from the anchor point, measuring where stuff is, understanding anatomy, thinking about the draw through shapes, thinking about where that arm goes and how the fur folds. If I need to adjust something, I can. Because I haven't drawn things in to the point where I need to erase, because these don't erase, by the way. I've never been a huge fan of erasers. I see a lot of people erasing, and that's completely fine. That's your drawing style. I just don't. I like seeing a lot of these construction lines. They help me. Now, if I'm doing a final and I'm rendering it, yeah, then I'm going to go ahead and erase some of these construction lines because they are distracting. And I don't want something distracting. But I like having stuff like this because it gives life. I like life in the drawing. And that's just something I do. Now, these being this type of critter, got these really long claws. I wonder if they're related to koalas. I bet they are. Koalas, of course, being some of the cutest animals. Here's the balance, the dichotomy. I talk about dichotomy a lot because it is something in nature that happens a lot. You'll have a very interesting creature. Maybe it's super cute, but its disposition is super bad, and you don't want to be around it because it'll attack you. Case in point, honey badger. Case in point, Wolverine. Wolverines are really cool looking. They look super cute. You don't want to get near them. They will... Their bite force, I think it's 2,800 pounds per square inch. Some of the most powerful creatures in bite force on the planet. They have the ability to crush bone in their mouths. These guys, as well as koalas. Koalas are very interesting. You should really learn about them. The things that they do. They only eat one food. One food. And what's interesting is it's poisonous. The leaves they eat are poisonous. They're poison, and they don't have the ability to digest that from birth. So their parents, they eat the food. Their parents eat the food for their baby, and then this is horrible. And then the parents poop the food, and the kids eat the poop. Come on! You think you got a problem whenever your parents are making pot roast for the evening? What do we have for dinner tonight, Mom? Pot roast. Pot roast. And some of you are like, I love pot roast. I love pot roast too. Some kids are like, can we just get McDonald's? I want McDonald's. Koala mom's like, kids are like, what do we have for dinner? Poop. Here you go. Poop. Enjoy. Ah! Wombats. What a fascinating creature. Hopefully you guys have gotten something from the drawing chat today, other than the fact that koalas feed their kids poop. Mommy, this YouTuber just said koalas feed their children dookie. It's the truth. It's the truth from the truth box. Yeah. Wombat. Simple composition. Hopefully you guys will go out and do something fun. Prepare for the winter storm. If you are in the path of the winter storm. Of course, it'll be beautiful on Saturday morning. Beautiful. And then Old Man Winter shows you his armpit. I don't want to see his armpit, Mama. No. Take it all in. Alright, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the drawings today. Please like and subscribe and share. Let's try to get these above 50 views. 50 views is not a lot, but I understand the algorithm doesn't like people like me. Let's change that. At least I get some comments. Even at 50 views, I'm getting comments, which is mind-blowing. I do have a simple review of a product that I was sent. Hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And I've got an XP pen review coming up once they send me the product. So we'll definitely do some more digital drawings for all you digital people. Digital art's better. Whatever. That's it for today, Wombats. Alright, guys. Have a good one.